from the break, everybody. If you're just joining us now, indeed that was a break from the first match, which was a heater, 7-2 for the team known as Reality TV. But now we have to get to the second match of the day. Arial Arise taking on Ex-Elyssar. Arial Arise 2 games in. Okay, Connor, I just want to preface that with that. 2 games in is in second. Okay, they've gotten points in both their games. The only other team to do so who has played 2 games. Taking on LSR, you know, this is a team that is looking good, and now we've got you to join us to fill us into this matchup as we get into it.
Yeah, I mean, me and CJ, we haven't been together in forever. It's been like over a week. I was so sad yesterday while you were just sick. You were sick in bed, just not feeling great. But just know I missed you, CJ.
I wasn't sick, Connor. I was dumping somebody. I was trying
not to
breakup yesterday.
I was trying not to air your dirty laundry.
No, I had to dump somebody. That's why I wasn't here. But now we're back, baby, because I'm back with my favorite boy. It's Connor. That's the only person I want to be with. I just said that on live television.
Yeah, I'll just whatever. I'm just a piece of meat to you.
You're nothing. We're gonna be the third wheel. It's me and Connor.
Oh my. Okay. Well, okay. Just shut off. Just shut off my camera, and then
you're just a friend. But yes,
I don't need to be here.
Let's talk Arial Arise. All right, since we no longer have a host. Okay. Arial Arise. Fun team. First game of the stage was hilarious. They looked like they were having fun. They looked focused. They looked like they were dark horses to win the league. And of course, last week, or not last week, it hasn't been a week today. Yesterday, they had a fun little game as well. I think this team, a lot like Reality TV was like a couple stages ago. This team has like dark horse status to them. Tones is actually slotting in really well as like a support. I thought he was going to be like an Ash lane or whatever. He's playing Thermite and looking good on it. We've talked enough about Freak over the years. Freak's nasty. Freak's probably missing Mo right now. You know, he was left behind, but you know, I'm sure he's going to be fine. Jay's bouncing back. You know, a lot of people kind of wrote Jay and Reed off, especially. And Quartz, a whole lot of writing off on Arial Rise. The question is, are they going to write back?
I would have to say, don't worry, I'm still here, everybody.
Did you hear something?
I'm still here.
I don't hear anything.
I'm the ghost of.
Him.
I'm the host of Christmas Past. How about that? Is that clever enough for you?
Yeah, I'm ready to just go in. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything, but I'm here to talk about Ex-Elyssar. This is a team that I've always been high on. I was the only one that predicted them to, win relegations against Box on Locks and his goons. And with the new roster changes that they've had, they bring a little bit more unpredictability. Last stage, we saw a pretty stagnant team that, they weren't very athletic. They were very meh. They were very mid. They were very just uninspiring to watch. But you bring in Fish, as well as bringing in CZ, and those are 2 players that can pop off at any given moment. We see down at the bottom our highlight player Fish. When he's on the alibi, he's pretty scary. 6-3 on entry, a majority of those on the defensive side where he's roaming and really applying pressure is something that Arial Rise might struggle with today.
Now, Cookies, I have to say, oh, look at that.
You fade back. That's cool.
That's fancy. Thank you, Ferme. I appreciated that. That was electric. Okay. Arial Arise, talking about them being written off, I gotta say, I think if any team here is written off, it's got to be LSR. But, at least you tell me why you think Arial Arise is written off.
That's a great narrative. I think this is a battle of 2 teams that's just been written off. Everyone just forgot. Now it's RTV and whatever. But Arial Arise, there's reason to believe there's hope for this team still. Even though they lost Moo, there's still hope that, someone like a Freak, and Reed, even at his advanced age, like they can still hit you with the gunny 2 shoes. And I really saw that in the Oculus game, especially. There was a whole lot of tempo. They were setting the tempo. And we talk about how LSR fails to do that on both sides of the ball all the time. I think Arial Rise can come right out of the gate, hit you with some crazy stuff. They're showing a lot more energy and nimbleness than LSR has ever shown. And that's going to be a matchup nightmare for LSR today. And it's something they should really, really dial in and focus on in this matchup.
LSR is coming off of a fantastic win, though, Connor.
Yeah, yesterday was the most decisive that we have seen them play on attack. It was send Fish in on a drone, hold your cutoffs, get those early engagements, and play the trade game late. And LSR, they looked really good. CJ, one of the biggest things we've always talked about with the core of this roster is actually the color of their team right now, the red zone. It's that they like to execute like 15 seconds left in the round, and it never goes well. But we didn't see them do that a single time yesterday. But a little bit of a tweak onto their defense would be kind of playing the trade game in the mid round. A lot of times they let that sort of early pressure get the best of them, and it would go down to a lot of pressure on Vivid. Vivid was playing the site phenomenally, popping off for like 2 and 3K seemingly every round, but that's not something you can really rely upon when you have a freak on Ash just sprinting into the bomb site.
Now,
Well said.
here's what's important. We have to decide where to go, Connor. And this is the part that worries me for LSR right now, but I think it could also be their saving grace.
It definitely could be. Both of these teams have very well established map pools because they're very long tenured teams. You know, if they were working at a university, they'd be getting their pension no matter how good they were teaching, whatever. They've been here, they've seen a thing or two, they know a thing or two, a lot of hell and back with vouchers, everything. We know what these two teams like to play. It's a lot of just kind of back and forth. A lot of clubhouse and Oregon for both teams. Bank actually getting removed by LSR because they got mollywopped last time they played Arial Arise on it. So now as we're pushing forward, the last time we saw these two teams play was last stage on Clubhouse, but Arial Arise, they don't want the repeat of the 8-6 victory to Ex-Elyssar. So we're actually going to a new location of Theme Park, which we have seen Arial Arise play yesterday and look pretty dang good on.
Now, one thing we've been noticing here, and this, I assure you this is not a pun, CJ. The theme that we've been seeing in this weekend has been, we are seeing the maps that aren't often gone to, and we're not seeing those equalizers as much, and I'm here for it.
Don't want to pick these guys? Anyway, you know, I was doing a whole lot of raging about that earlier on in the year. I was like, you're not picking new maps, you're a troll. But it seems that everyone has decided to learn new maps. And that is why we are, well, new, but you know what I mean. Non-clubhouse teams.
They're like, they're new maps nowadays. They're like, meh.
How do I say? The advanced maps? The borders, the skies, the theme parks that we're going to. People are starting to actually like play them now. Am I losing focus? Y'all see me still?
You lost a bit of light.
We're gonna say auxiliary maps because that sounds fancy.
Good,
tertiary. How about tertiary?
Yeah, tertiary maps. I agree. That's why I'm picking the team in red here. I think that
they are the team cookies. As we said, they are the team that got you some extra points yesterday when we switched to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm feeling a little spicy. I think I'm going to switch to LSR as well. I was actually very impressed, Connor, with the effort I saw them put forward yesterday.
Yeah, it was a really good effort from Ex-Elyssar, but I think overall more dominance was shined onto the light of Arial Arise yesterday, where pretty much in all steps across the board, they played a very, very solid game. Even if they let rounds get away from them, they still bounced back, but it wasn't like they were winning crazy clutches over and over again. Most of the rounds they won were completely dominant. We saw great early rounds, we saw great mid-round adaptations, we saw good roam game, we saw good anchoring play, objective play, everything all in one beautiful package. And that was on this map of Theme Park that we're about to see today. And I hope that for Arial Arise's case, they know how to use their keyboards. They hit the little Control-C, Control-V, copy and paste exactly what they did just a few hours, or I guess 24 hours ago, and come in and have a great game.
So correct me if I'm wrong. That means you're not switching.
No,
based on what you just said.
I'm not a wimpy believer.
Okay. Cookies, Ex-Elyssar. Why are they taking it right now? Why are we going to be the only two? I mean, barring some of the casters, they still have time. Why are we going to get those points?
So you see Connor here. Okay, Connor's, he's marketing it as, they could just Control-C, Control-V. Let me tell you something, Connor. Arial Arise, or they can Control-C their theme park from yesterday. Arial Arise, you know who they played yesterday? They played Karn. Okay? Today they're playing, like, Freak and Read the Headshot Machine and Tones, who's just like this intellectual thinker. What do you think is going to happen?
Tones was trolling yesterday and they still won. That's the biggest thing. If Tones does not troll, Ex-Elyssar is losing like 7-2.
I don't think it's a copy paste job, Connor. And I think, let me tell you this too. Okay, last time Elyssar played on Theme Park, they played like Dexter. They got Dextered. Okay.
They're gonna get
So-
freaked today.
Oh, they're gonna get freaked. Okay.
I don't know. This
Those are
isn't.
fighting words. Those
This
are fighting
isn't.
words.
This isn't a frequalizer, Connor. This map. This is theme park. This is gonna get a little bit hectic. It's gonna get a little bit crazy. But I think we've talked enough, quite a bit at this moment. I think maybe we want to let the casters in on this. I'm sure they're gonna have plenty to say for two teams that are written off and maybe shouldn't be written off, but given some consideration at this point, we'll let the casters consider to bet themselves.
I at least appreciate CJ's excellent short-term memory. Arial Rise did play Karn yesterday, and that is true. We have poll
Can
data
confirm.
that proves that. However, John, I will say, while I did just make fun of him.
Yeah?
I'm gonna switch to Ex-Elyssar. I'm feeling it.
Same. I don't have to
I had a
actually
good feeling.
switch. That's what my vote
Wait.
originally was. My vote's been wrong again. They probably just filled it in advance because I didn't
I don't
do
care. Hold on.
my picks at the same time.
I don't care then. Change me back. I'm Arial Rise now.
All right, whatever.
I'm switching. If John's for it, I can't be. That's not how this works.
You're so fake,
Not how this works,
dude.
sadly.
Like,
Dude, I'm not trying to have a mid-off with Fellow right now.
you just
That's
can't
all I'm
ever get
saying.
real. I hate it.
I can. I am being real right now. And you know what is real? The Frequalizer. That's what's real. Connor made the point that actually convinced me, at least a little bit. I was like, maybe I will stick with Arial Rise, but then I felt CJ's point. I do feel like if Ex-Elyssar are going to play this game, I think they're going to get dextered by Freak. I just got a feeling about it. I know they had an okay showing yesterday, but I'm going to be honest. It's honestly, I just don't want to have the same prediction with you. I'm not going to pretend it's
You
some
really just
explanation. I
love
just
to
want to be
hate me.
contrarian.
Which I
I do.
understand. I totally
do.
get that. Sometimes everyone's gonna have their villain arc. I get that. Maybe that'll be Ex-Elyssar's time today to do so, as
Maybe.
well as we shortly head on into the map. But yeah, Arial Rise, they did have a very good showing here on Theme Park yesterday. But along with the desk, I kind of agree that Ex-Elyssar, I feel like they are going to bring a little more competition, especially in the entry department, where Fish did spectacular yesterday as well against Vipers, a very strong team put in the right environment. So I really do think that if we're not at least going to see Ex-Elyssar win this game, I feel like they're going to have this match be a lot closer than what it was the other day.
Yeah, unemployment yesterday in the game against Arial Rise, it felt like it was mainly Tra doing a lot of the work in the entry department, but a lot of the other players, like Brios, for example, not putting in a lot of an equal effort, whereas, as you mentioned with the game we saw from Ex-Elyssar yesterday, I have a little bit more confidence that when they go to attack, they'll be a little bit more present in the early round, in terms of not only just pushing the roamers back, but also making sure they can't rotate back to site as easily. We'll see a lot more of that from Ex-Elyssar as opposed to what we saw from Unemployment yesterday. And of course, also, speaking of the attack, we're just going to have to hope that Arial Rise have corrected some of the mistakes that we saw yesterday. Some of them, like Connor mentioned, Tones doing a little bit of trolling as hard breach and dying very early on, sometimes in exceedingly funny ways. But that is for the game to show us. We can only do so much predicting, John, as we spent a lot of time talking about before we got into the game. Let's see what it actually has to offer us.
And sometimes you can be like me and not predict anything correctly, like I did yesterday. But so far, I've already been right once, so that's already a
That's true.
small improvement. Thank God. So moving on in, I should have known better not to vote against Mr. B yesterday. Should have known better. But hey, I've learned my mistake the hard way. Ying and Nook ban so far for Theme Park. Nook, this is probably one of her strongest maps, again, when you have to worry about that light lurk on someone who has no info, and again, one of the only operators that have grenades still currently this season. Something nice to just not have on the plate as a whole, but Thatcher's still available, could probably allow for some very easy hard destruction in this round, I could imagine, and then the last two bans, the Valkyrie and the Mira, pretty stock standard. So with this ban phase, I feel like besides the Yang, this really does make a lot of sense on paper.
A lot of these are some of the more obvious bans of the recent stage, like you mentioned. Ying, Nook taking down a lot of that great utility she has, and then Valken Mira on the defense, how it's been for a year now. So I doubt Arial Rise or Ex-Elyssar will be all too shocked by how things have transpired. And I doubt Ex-Elyssar will be all too shocked to find out in the prep phase that Arial Rise are starting out on Armory and Throne, as teams usually do on Theme Park. The sites we saw preferred quite heavily by Arial Rise were Armory and Throne and Bunk Daycare yesterday, so I'm sure we'll likely see them stick to that top two site selection fairly religiously. I doubt they're going to completely take a 180 from yesterday. But if I recall, I don't think we saw much of an Echo or a Vigil on the defenses yesterday. I might be misremembering, but I don't recall, John, seeing these operators, at least brought out by Arial Arise.
Vigil we did see from time to time, but the Echo in particular, yeah, I don't think we saw him all too much in play by Tones. Depending on how Ex-Elyssar want to attack, because normally you're going to want to go for a full top to bottom clear, get the yellow wall opened up, leading into the back of Armory Room. Then you can go for that plant. That can be used pretty well with a Yokai drone. And also, you can sometimes gather early info for your roamers, maybe, concuss the opposition trying to work into the building, and that can once again give your team an advantageous position, not only with a gunfight or with info for the gunfight, but also your opponent being a little bit weaker in that engagement as a whole. So a lot of value can be had put in the right hands for that Echo pick. And for the rest of Arial Arise, seems like they are, once again, still going on that very standard roam game, having Quartz trying to hold off on anyone trying to get that cash room control. And there's a bit of coverage. I believe Freak is not too far behind him, and once again, the Yokais can give great info to let the Vigil know what he should do.
Fish moves into maintenance fairly quickly, 45 seconds in, so they can already start destroying any potential mute jammers on the opposite side of that maintenance wall. Now we see Tones sitting behind right this very second. I am excited to see how they decide to take this roam, but Fish instead, he just prones outside the door, gets a very quick kill, loses some HP, but takes down the mute and the only C4 for the defense, all by just sitting outside a doorway. I think he'll be more than happy to take that deal.
I was going to say, going for something a little more direct could be a very good option. We saw Fish a lot of times, if he spots out a small opening, especially closer towards the actual bomb site, he can sometimes ignore that roam presence and still work some sort of early pick. He does that exactly onto Reed Adams and is still alive to bring out those grenades, which grant him a kill as well. It may not be in the Echo of Tones, but Jay, no longer having any extra My Magnets, can definitely open up the playing field now to get this back wall opened up as quickly as possible. Tones may have one impact grenade to stop these thermite charges, but if he doesn't land it correctly, this could still be the wall opened up.
Another mute device jamming the wall. Another
Nice.
impact goes out and it destroys it. 3v5, but Arial Arise completely shutting down the hard breaching for Ex-Elyssar. Kills have still gone their way, though, and could continue to do so. Fish knows that there's somebody playing on yellow, and both him and CZ are looking over towards that direction. Quartz will now back off as a result, not wanting to put his team into a 2v5. Bide his time, let Ex-Elyssar work the clock a little bit lower, and then try and hit a flank. There's somebody moving into Arcade, though. Does Quartz know? There's info on his position. He'll go for the fight, and he will win it. Wimpy cut down. Somebody else on yellow stairs. That's Fish. Biding his time, holding back as CZ got another kill to make this a 4v2 and keep the gap at 2 kills going, or separating Ex-Elyssar and Arial Arise. Make that 3 as Tones is completely blinded and slammed behind Throne. Ex-Elyssar taking a dominant first round, even with losing the utility game, dominantly getting their kills on the scoreboard.
Still having better numbers towards that mid round, and also good process of elimination as well, killing 2 of the anchors still in sight, leaving it only up to Tones. Once Vigil had found that frag near Cafe, they figured out, well, we could probably just have one guy watching the cutoff, that being Fish, and everyone else can just 3v1 the Echo, and we can just start hucking out all of our utilities since we didn't have to use all too much of it when clearing out that top floor, since they already had put themselves, again, in that 5 versus 3. Really well done by Ex-Elyssar to find out those small openings to get a good man advantage. And for the most part, I'd say ignore a majority of what Arial Arise are putting their stock into, which was having a very strong defensive hold up above, which is what you normally expect when you're defending Armory Room. But again, because Ex-Elyssar were able to just ignore that and then force Arial Arise to get uncomfortable, that's what gave them such a straightforward round. Let's see if they can continue that good tempo moving into round number 2 against this bunk defense.
With Ying banned, if Ex-Elyssar wanted to attack from the Arcade Cafe side of things, it'd be a lot more difficult, so we might see them mainly focus on pushing into Initiation and Office. As a result, there's no Flores either to destroy those shields. Thatcher is on the board, so destroying those ADSs and those Omais, or disabling those ADSs and Omais, would be a little bit easier, but it seems, for the time being, that, yep, pretty much all of Ex-Elyssar spawned over by Cash, and on that Initiation and Office side. Do have CZ over on a different part of the map, but Ex-Elyssar will try to work this over and clear and push all the Arial Arise defenders back before worrying about the utility, which admittedly, there's likely still is quite a bit of placed on that arcade side of the map.
Just getting the hatches opened up for the late round. That way Arial Arise have less of an idea as to when exactly that kind of play could come into action. Now the control hatch will get breached open as well with that hammer. Ex-Elyssar are now having a little more opportunities to maybe begin to work their way in the building, get that extension down, and eventually try to get that hard wall breach open as well. Really interesting idea to have this cutoff angle established. That way, if someone walks up yellow stairs, they're not going to have to worry about someone probably engaging with them, as that could be a very vulnerable gunfight to take. And also, that does alleviate a lot less or a lot more pressure outside of bunk room and break as well. Not a bad idea at all for Ex-Elyssar to open up that really interesting angle, but for the most part, it gets impact at least on the second half.
Ooh, shots through the drone hole towards Inrio, but only takes a little bit of damage in the grand scheme of things. Fish instead opens things up on a J. It's 1-for-1, but all you do, you lose those EE1Ds, but you lose that Wamai, and Quartz was low on health, picked back up. Now 2 players from Ex-Elyssar downed by bear mats. Boy, John, that is not something you want to see, not just as a teammate playing on Ex-Elyssar, but also for us. Now, Vivid and Wimpy, while it is funny that they are down at the moment, does not look great for CZ and Inrio's chances, especially now that CZ just sort of trapped inside of Initiation. He's got, well, a single doorway to push on through, not much intel going his way either, with only 3 drones currently on the board. What are Ex-Elyssar to do?
Well, I mean, potentially just try to work these 1-for-1s. It's a direct trade, so technically CZ is in a 1 versus 3. Tone's eventually collecting that last kill. And yeah, unfortunately not having any explosive util to break those frost mats, or even being in a spot to destroy them. I'm not too sure if you can actually catch them if you're upside down repelled, but I guess Ex-Elyssar were not fully anticipating a frost to be in play on that round. They unfortunately lost 2 very important lives, as if they didn't down in that position, they might have gotten site control and potentially could have tried to poke and prod at a potential post-plant position. But hey, good on Arial to make sure that they could still play numbers up and really forced the hand of Ex-Elyssar when they were basically at a 2-player deficit for a good chunk of that second half of the round.
Next site by Arial Arise is Initiation Room and Office. Again, I don't think we even really saw this site in the Arial Arise game yesterday. Oh, no, we did. We saw it once. Saw a single time from Arial Arise in which they did end up winning it, but Ex-Elyssar giving a lot more trouble for Arial Arise in the early round, because even though he had 2 people get frost-matted last round, they're still able to get the opening pick, clear out one of those players playing outside of break room, and potentially get some good control if the intel is maybe a little bit better for Ex-Elyssar. On this position, I'm pretty sure we'll also likely see Ex-Elyssar try to push from that cache side of things, especially with Wimpy switching to the OSA. Probably get a shield planted down inside of Radar, and then hopefully work some picks, clear out some util from that very same position.
Really, any position would work well with this OSA. Yeah, I was going to mention, if you go for a regular cafe clear, potentially utilize those OSA shields pretty early in the round, forcing the roamers already pretty far back because they don't want to deal with that shield initially. And then you could maybe work your way into bunk to get that back wall opened up and again have that cover of the talent shield. Really, anywhere you push from is going to work with an OSA, unless you're dealing with something like maybe a clash, perhaps. Not too sure how well Ex-Elyssar are going to react with that information. I mean, they do have secondary EMPs to disable the shield's electric part of the gadget. Some nades and Zofia concussive blast as well. So they have the right tools for the job. It's just, again, the placement of these players and how proactive they want to be initially with this clash pick by Reed.
Some summon charges already bursting by Ex-Elyssar. Some damage taken by Arial Arise defenders. Freak peeking out from behind that clash, loses almost all of his HP to a player outside of Cafe. But he remains alive for the time being and is giving his gun in defense of Reed. But CZ will drop fairly soon after, right in the line of sight of that clash. Razor Bloom goes off, does a hell of a lot of damage. And this drop, I mean, maybe it helps get a kill on the Freak, but he's finished off. Not much control is gained, and now Quartz comes in for support. Reed actively shocking Inrio, downs him, in fact. Wimpy still going huge in the round so far. 2 kills for Ex-Elyssar, but it's an even 3v3 right now. And Inrio likely to be finished off momentarily.
Only a couple more zaps, and that should put the Zofia in the dirt. Reed just trying to waste as much time, finally gets that confirmation onto Inrio, so now we're on completely even footing, and Arial Arise, they still have all this utility to work off of, but only one player can actively have their gun up right now, and it's a 1-for-1 trade! Wimpy doing so much in this round is finally silenced, but it might just be too late. Reed Adams, the only one left alive, and he gets shut down inside a cache room. An impressive round for the Wimpster, and altogether, Ex-Elyssar clearing it out.
did not go from Top Dragon and Cafe like I initially thought they did, but with Wimpy putting up numbers like that, might not really matter all that much where they had started from. That was the Wimpy show through and through. Ex-Elyssar do some work early on to make the roamers playing inside of bunks and daycare a little bit uncomfortable. They struggle to clear out that clash, John, just standing there stalwart on top yellow, moving around Cafe. But Wimpy's doing enough work clearing out the roamers by himself in bunk and daycare that it gets to a point where even though clearing out and pushing back that clash has been difficult, Wimpy's able to just kill everyone around her to make it completely meaningless. And once those 2 roamers that Wimpy cleared out died, the first 2 kills he got, the other 2 players, if they want to support Reed, now have to rotate over and help him out. And it's almost like they're then walking into Ex-Elyssar's arms, who have all surrounded the clash. It's a very interesting way that round transpired, and pretty much everything focused on Cafe and Arcade.
Yeah, for Ex-Elyssar, they just completely circled in. They didn't directly funnel into the clash, I would say. Sure, they had the sledge dropping down and through the yellow hatch, but that was really the only, direct confrontation we saw the clash have, besides Inrio, of course, as well, trying to work his way in through cash. We saw some presence over near, the arcade balcony / stairwell part of the map for Ex-Elyssar. We saw someone late round walking back through yellow stairs. And again, that initial drop as well, done by the sledge to cause a lot of chaos, force the clash on that one location, granting Wimpy a very successful opening 1-for-1 gunfight. Arial Rise, once again, having a very extensive roam up above. The yokais brought out to try to feed more information to see where exactly Ex-Elyssar are pushing from during the get-go round, and now Arial Rise falling back just a little bit to make sure they're not overexposed in those first gunfights.
45 seconds gone. Ex-Elyssar opening up these doorways into Top Dragon, into Cash. Of course, there's a drone in front of him. He's got his ERC activated, hoping that whoever's on that balcony takes the fight. They'll just send a parting impact out, and it does a little bit of damage to Inrio, but it won't stop Ex-Elyssar from shooting back. Fish takes down Freak down below, one of the many roamers that Ex-Elyssar would have to fear if Freak was not so expertly and swiftly dealt with at the beginning of the round. I'll force Quartz back even further now, knowing that he was hoping and counting on any support from Bottom Dragon. It won't be there anymore.
Once again, really good job at finding these opportunities to take more advantageous gunfights. Fish now 3-0 on the entry, doing a lot of lifting in the early round for his team. Here comes the run attempt by Reed, but the timing isn't fully up to snuff. No one in his sights. Still the advantage here for Ex-Elyssar. Now they know a bandit is kind of prowling around near that lower arcade position. Ex-Elyssar now begin to get themselves inside the building, both from maintenance side and the top floor, trying to get this back wall opened up, and they managed to deny the impact trick, to a certain degree. They could now enter the site if they want to, and also force Tones a little bit farther back, not able to utilize his yokais as effectively as he might be worrying about a gunfight soon.
And before relying on those exothermics in round 1, switching to the Ace is what gets the job done for Ex-Elyssar. Opening up this maintenance wall. Tones can still get aggressive, though. Almost catches Vivid off guard. Takes down CZ. Never mind. And the Ace as well. Thought maybe Vivid escaped the Grim Reaper today, but Tones pieces both of them up. Looking for a third as a nade lands right in front of him. He evades it for the time being.
Wow.
And gets his man. Looking for a 4K right now. Knows someone is likely out side of that dragon doorway. It doesn't matter. He can sit here. He's got the diffuser right within eyesight. He can still get... No, I thought that was the last one. Wimpy's still alive. But John, the reason I didn't think that was, where is he? He's creeping up from bottom yellow. Finally giving the Ace to Tones that the Echo is seeking. He'll get aggressive. Spot the head. Missed the opportunity. But he's still got 15 seconds to land one singular bullet. He's able to be accurate enough. Switches to the bearing 9. Wimpy just praying that he makes it quick, praying he doesn't have to deal with this. He won't add to Tones' stat line. Reed will even finish him off, but I don't think you'd find anybody who would disagree. This was very much through and through an Arial Rise round.
Well, Wimpy had his fully star-studded round, and seems like Tones wants to follow it up with a pretty impressive showing on his own with the Echo play. Ex-Elyssar just flat out not expecting Tones to be that forward about taking those gunfights, and just simply winning them as well. Full control back for Arial Rise inside of maintenance, and Tones is still just holding down that position with his life. I think if Ex-Elyssar were just a little more, I suppose, expecting of Tones, wanting to challenge that gunfight, then it could have gone a different way, but really good work by Tones just to fully catch his opposition off guard and just simply not miss those shots when needed most as well, evening us up 2-2 now, heading back in through bunk, where we saw a pretty tragic outcome for Ex-Elyssar when they tried just to hop their way in through break room, but at least this time, Carter, there is no Frost available, so it's not a problem they'll be facing whatsoever this round.
That's good, I guess. I don't think it's been a while since I've seen 2 people get downed by a frost mat. Not just 2 people down by frost mats, but in the same room as well.
And room, yeah,
it's
that's
the
a
same
good point.
part of the map. Very odd, but yes, they did not have to deal with any frost. I'm surprised Quartz went with the alibi. I would have just brought them again for good luck, or brought the frost again for good luck, but doesn't matter. And I think the absence of the frost won't change Ex-Elyssar's intention in this round either. I wouldn't be shocked if they go with the same break room repel strategy, throw in some EMPs, try to open up that wall, burn the impacts, and it seems, at least based on where everyone is spawning, that they will be going for something comparable to that.
Seems like it. Interested to see if they're going to just put all their eggs into the same basket, though, or if they're going to try to be a little more creative on this round. And, you know, again, not try to just flat out hop in through break room, even though there is no frost mats in this round. Ex-Elyssar seems like they have at least someone set up to, once again, open up that yellow hatch for later in the round and potentially have someone move over in through Cafe as well. But so far, in about the first minute, they're once again trying to gather some information over near break room, make sure if it's safe enough, try to get that back wall opened up, and then they'll most likely just convert the rest of their forces through both not only Cafe, but maybe have someone light lurk as well over near control, heading in towards initiation room, as there is somebody still on the roof from that direction.
Fish firing some shots into arcade. One player just prone beneath the table right now. Able to gain intel on that, just chuck a nade on in. Not much intel, though, for Ex-Elyssar. Not many drones to get that intel, with only 4 remaining. Make that 3. Still half the round to go, and not much in the way of control for Ex-Elyssar so far. They're outside of plenty of positions. Outside arcade, outside cafe, outside break room. Entering the map, still something that not many players from Ex-Elyssar can say they have done in round 5. Only one of the 3 remaining drones, though, has very useful information. Direct intel on the alibi. The concussions go on in. They start moving on forward, but they've never droned arcade. Tones finally gets his shots in, switches to the shotgun, but Inrio is able to shut him down before things go from bad to worse. And they're already not great, being perfectly frank. A 2v2 for Ex-Elyssar, and only 2 drones left. I would say 1 per person, but Vivid's got none to work with. Now what are they to do? The Ace will position himself on the hatch, likely wait for a drop, and Fish to use his 1 remaining drone to gain any bit of intel he could possibly squeeze out of the remaining 40 seconds. We know, the observers, there's 1 inside of yellow who can move onto the top of those stairs. But do Ex-Elyssar know that? This very player could be the undoing for Vivid if he does drop down that hatch, or even for Fish. Once they move down into Cafe, Yana Clone will go out now that Fish's drone is shot, but it's jammed. No more intel to be gained. They'll just have to face check these angles. Fish and Vivid both got their kills yesterday, but can they do it with no intel? 15 seconds left. Start moving on in. Fish clearing over towards break room, or over towards the entry. Vivid goes down. J pieces, yep, both the remaining ones up. And it seemed like, even though it was a bit of a prolonged conclusion, it still went the way we all expected.
Once again, the lack of information not suiting Ex-Elyssar whatsoever. You mentioned it perfectly in those last 20 seconds that they were running in blind, and it seemed like for Arial they had a really solid, at least, I wouldn't say crossfire, but they were seeming to play with each other's contact very well. You had Freak giving a lot of good information, just playing near that office position, and Jay kind of in an off angle, able to surprise both the last 2 attackers in that round. But Tones in particular, playing around both those mute jammers very well. To think if 1 grenade just felt a little too short and kind of rolled a little bit closer towards those 2 mute devices, that he might have been at the very least downed, as he was pretty much stuck in that do or die position, but still able to catch that 1 player and cause a little bit more chaos inside of Cafe. Definitely went a long way, as Ex-Elyssar during that 2 versus 2 were still having to fight tooth and nail to try to at least get inside of Cafe, still wasting more time, wasting more resources, and they still weren't even able to destroy the mute jammers until it was far too late, which overall costed them greatly in the late round, as again, they just frankly had no clue what they were getting themselves into against Arial's final just positions.
And for the final sight for Arial Arise. 4-2 half is what they got yesterday on Theme Park as well. I go and check my notes, make sure I'm right. Yes, I am. Let's go me. Didn't see Drug Lab much yesterday, so this is a bit of untread ground for Arial Rise, especially in comparison to the more tried and true sites like Bunk and Throne. First DE1D goes out, but it's a little early on. I doubt they'll be, or Ex-Elyssar even able to potentially get much off of that. But Fish, he's just trying to clear his own path, trying to make his own way into maintenance, where he's played religiously when Ex-Elyssar want to attack this eastern part of the map. Clone goes in as well, trying to drone out and find any of these players, but Arial Rise aren't looking to contest Top Dragon too heavily in the first minute.
No, as they do have a lot of the map to play with, even if they have to fall back from the top floor, they can still work their way around inside of Armory and Throne, for example, especially if Ex-Elyssar try to fully consume themselves on this top floor. But so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. Vivid even assisting Fish on this first floor lurk by opening up a new avenue inside of Throne Room. So that one position altogether for Arial Rise in the late round could pretty much be non-existent, especially if Fish can keep this lurk alive and well for the next couple of moments or so. For Ex-Elyssar, they're pretty much halfway done with clearing out this top floor as well, and they're having CZ late rotate around, most likely in through Cafe. They really are setting up for the perfect storm, it seems, and once again, Vivid still being active as ever with these breaching Selmas, just to make sure that there are more openings active for his team, but Quartz, still in the midst of all that, able to shut down CZ, and now it's just a one-way attack here by Ex-Elyssar on this top floor.
This is what I was worried about. We see CZ trying to make that lurk work, but only 3 drones remaining for Ex-Elyssar, so you got to decide, do you want to use those actively and put them at risk of getting destroyed, or position them on flanks and make sure you've got your back covered? It'll be a decision to make later on, as there's still control to be gained. Final minute, pushing Drug Lab, still on that second floor. They're using one of those drones just to make sure that everything is clear. Ex-Elyssar do not have a lot of time to waste, not a lot of time to gather what remaining intel they likely would want or need, and players like Jay, as you can see right now, sitting down in barrels, who, if Ex-Elyssar march down arcade stairs, could shoot them all in the back before Ex-Elyssar can even react in time. Or it's getting aggressive as a nade lands right in front of him. Freak instead is the one that takes down Inrio outside of that Drug Lab window. Fish, only 25 seconds left, hoping to get the first kill for his team, which spots the feed, but oh no, can't finish it off! Now 2 aerial players on low HP, but none dead, and that still makes it a 5v3. He hops in, but there's still Jay to worry about in barrels. He strikes, drops the diffuser, can only get 1, but the damage is done. Tones gets the 4th for Arial Rise, and what is Fish to do? To watch his hands tied as Arial Rise get the 4-2 half on defense.
And incredible stall potential as well. We mentioned on the desk how fast, how quick altogether Ex-Elyssar have been when trying to deal with these very extensive roam games, but not only on round 6, but round 5, it was just down to the last 20 to 15 seconds, and Ex-Elyssar in both positions just did not have any advantage whatsoever. I wouldn't say they wanted to go for a full-fledged gamble on their attack last round, but it definitely seemed like they had one portion of their attack heavily valued in comparison to that one light lurk done by CZ, which probably should have had more of its weight put into gold in comparison to probably what it was worth in bronze on that round. If they just had at least one more person there to back him up, or just a bit more pressure focused in on the opposite side of the map, maybe trying to push a bit closer towards Cafe to help CZ out, they could have at least guaranteed a trade. But again, with him being just so separated from the rest of the pack, it allowed Arial Rise to start off with that man advantage. And then they were still able to comfortably fall back as well. They did give away a little bit more map control to Ex-Elyssar, pardon. But again, so much time had already been wasted just on the setup. So when that had failed, although Ex-Elyssar had the ability to go play for a bit of vertical and do some more damage, it wasn't really all that valuable because, again, they were just so short on time. They couldn't stay up there for too long. And again, they were low on information as well. So really, they were just walking in blind once again with such little options left too.
As we switch sides, don't know if Intel will be the name of the game for Arial Rise, but certainly they'll need to have a lot of utility, at least as we go into the mid-round, to clear out what Ex-Elyssar are bringing. Castle barricades, banshees, bulletproofs, a deployable shield, and you still have those mute jammers to worry about as well. I think Intel's still important, but so much utility that Arial Rise will need to use those nades, those ash charges, Gone 6 as well. try and clear out everything Ex-Elyssar has to offer. First nade goes out, maybe seconds soon after, I thought maybe from Tones, but instead they might be trying to bypass it with gunplay, drop straight down through that yellow hatch, make it in as the EE1D rings out. Freak clearing things out, but Inrio gets the first kill. Freak short and quick on his heels. 2 kills go Arial Arise's way. They've cleared out this top floor, made use by bypassing that utility, but going so quick, will they be able to dodge the C4? Yes, they will. Do they know about Fish? He's waiting inside of, well, waiting room. He knows somebody's around the corner, goes for the fight on ADS, still wins it and reacts in time. Makes it a 3v3, and as Arial Arise have moved to the first floor, they've now got 1 player above them to worry about.
Still trying to figure out where exactly Fish has now rotated to, whether he's fallen back or potentially still playing up above. If Quartz just leaves his back unturned, that could potentially be another free kill here for the roaming Malusi, and your vertical presence now gone, but such great coordination dealing with the Capcan. Wimpy completely by themselves, and Reed once again stepping up to the plate to help out the rest of his teammates as he cuts through Fish once again. Vivid now, the last one alive. Another 1vx here for Ex-Elyssar. Let's see what they can do with about 70 seconds left to burn for Arial Arise.
I have 5 drones, 2 grenades, even if Arial Arise want to hang back and just start throwing things into the site, and a sledgehammer to rip open the ceiling above Vivid. So many angles to cover in 3 dimensions. What does he need to do? He'll walk right in front of Drug Window and die to Reed on the Lion. First round goes very solidly Arial Arise's way, as I hyped up the utility, and they just did not care.
Really love how well, I wouldn't say the initial rush worked out, to a T, like pristine, but the aftermath of that rush when everything was still on even playing field for both teams, when Ex-Elyssar still had a little bit of control of that top floor and were still extended to a degree, how well Arial Arise just reset on that round and allowed Reed Adams to help out a metric ton, not only to make sure that Quartz was safe to play vertical up above, which had an even bigger impact in the late round, but also helping out that clear on, I believe it was Wimpy, who was by himself inside a barrel room, making sure that when he rotates back in through a throne room, that he's going to be met by a couple bullets directed towards his backside. And once that main extension was dealt with and that Fish had been shut down too, it was only that one roamer left in sight. Arial Arise playing so consistently off of each other, out there 1 round away from match point. I might have been wrong to potentially predict on Ex-Elyssar in this matchup.
I might have been right for just obfuscating who I
For
thought
just
were
hating me,
who I thought was actually going to win this game. I'll just benefit by being my normal intransigent self.
Yeah.
It's worked for me. It's worked for me for 20 years, John. What's one more CL play day?
Yeah, just pat yourself on the back.
I will.
You've
I
earned
will.
it. Yep.
Two more rounds. Watch. Fish about to get smoked. Never mind. He backs off. Come on. Stick with it. I know you want to. Go for the spawn peek. He won't. Well, either way, no more drug defense from Ex-Elyssar. They move upstairs and see top dragon fairly quick, but again, I imagine Fish, CZ on the roam. They will still try to contest it.
I am a little shocked that Ex-Elyssar have yet to bring out Armory and Throne, since that can be one of the more roam-centric bomb sites out of the 4. But eventually they'll probably have to go there, so it's probably not too big of a concern as of yet. Arial Arise acknowledging there is really no presence over near lab or storage, so they can have their sledge play for grenades underneath, maybe deal with some of that extension over near top arcade stairs, and also near both cafe and the corridor directly towards cafe as well. No mute in place, so as long as no one can shoot these Rotero drones, Jay should be able to break a lot of this util. Yeah, in seconds, the shield in top cafe gets destroyed along with every other piece of util next to it, except for that one Surya gate, which isn't going to take a lot to get it removed.
Yeah, benefit of bringing a Flores on a Bunk's daycare attack, especially when this is the defense Ex-Elyssar are throwing at you. No mute on the board, destroy that shield. Destroy those ADSs and Wamais stacked around that cafe window, or that arcade window. What are they to do? Just sit idly by and try to shoot the Rotero drones, but once they start exploding and go bulletproof, there's not much you can do. Tone's on the opposite side of the map, though. He'll drop down into radar, start opening up parts of the wall. Freak, he opens things up onto Inrio. A lot of it, the Wamai's utility destroyed, but now his life is forfeit as well, and Freak will quickly fill the gap. Almost cuts down CZ, completes the remaining 10% of the already 90% finished job. They might lose Reed, but so much work has already been done for Arial Arise.
Well, that's a diffuser down, though, but that's really the only thing favoring Ex-Elyssar. That hero play attempted has been immediately clapped out of the equation. Vivid now slowly getting just collapsed upon as well from both bottom and top arcade. Really, this does not look to be a good position for Ex-Elyssar, except for, again, the fact that they do have user basically stuck outside.
Oh, first one goes down. Vivid almost had to win a gunfight with that player in bunks, but now it's suddenly a 2v1. Vivid had a teammate to rely on, but now not much more. And Jay will quickly finish that one off. Things got very bad very quick for Arial Arise. But then they just go, nope, everything's fine. Nothing to see here. We just got match point. You don't need to worry.
And we saw in that last round in particular for Arial Arise how much having that floors and having a util dump composition helped them out. If it weren't for those Rotera drones, I doubt we would have seen Freak being as aggressive, not only just because the Rotera drones broke, a lot of those deployable shields to make the cafe and top arcade position a lot weaker for the defense, but also does gather a little bit of information as well, since it is still a drone. Having some extra information back up as well, with just, old school drones, allowed him to get aggressive, I believe, near the arcade window to get that first entry win, and then just straight up walking into cafe to get rid of CZ as well. Impressive stuff by Freak in particular, and having everyone being able to enable him. I think the desk mentioned this as well, just the tempo by Arial Arise. It is visibly strong here today, as they have not been looking weak at all, not only towards the very end of that first half, but also now starting out on their attacks here on such a defender-sided map when it's put in the right hands.
Hey, John.
Yeah?
10 seconds to go.
They went Armory Throne.
Oh, I thought you were going to rub it in that
5 seconds
my
to go.
prediction might be wrong. But no, you just... Okay. All right.
No, I find the shame within oneself is the strongest feeling.
You'd be right.
But seriously, they're going Armory Throne. Now, of all times? Drug, then Bunk. Not starting out on Armory Throne? It's going to feel especially bitter if this is the first defensive win for Ex-Elyssar, because it would have to be the first of 4 that want any hope of even securing one singular point from today's match against Arial Arise. Vivid on the roam right now, 1-7 so far, not having the best game, and might just bear the brunt. Some early pressure from Arial Arise. Saw a couple players just hanging out around outside that bathroom window. Might be rotating off now, so might be safe for the time being, but still quite a lot of presence around him. But oh no, John. Oh no. The worst trend from yesterday comes back in Arial Arise's match point round.
Lay Funny Tones death round. That just happened here. Cue that in somewhere. But still, this could be maybe decent for Arial Arise. Potentially not. Fish seems to be having a heater of a round, waking himself back up, getting a good entry kill, and doubling down as Quartz is to fall. Pretty much no vertical play left as well for Arial Arise. They might just need to go direct in this position. Sure, they have a couple of Ash charges, but that is really it for any kind of major self-destruction. And, of course, the breaching charges here by Jay. But not only do they need to, of course, have the Ash and, Thatcher get into these positions, but they still need to clear out those players as well. The roam game is still thriving here at Ex-Elyssar, so maybe something creative might need to happen for them. And speaking of creativity, Fish here's the call near Locker's door and just pops out. Vivid as well finds one, and it's okay, flawlessly done by Ex-Elyssar.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
I don't really know either.
Fish killed... Is that 3 people?
Yes.
I knew 3. I was like, maybe it was 4? I don't know. I mean... John, just try to be succinct about it. I think Fish just, pretty much killed everyone. Well, not everyone. But all the first 3 people got a kill in the early round onto the Thermite, which appeared to make Tones very unhappy. Then 2 subsequent people, one of which he hopped out and Batista bombed him from bathroom window. They got their first defensive win. Good work. Now let's see you bring that same energy to any of the other bomb sites. They'll try all 4, as they have not been to Initiation and Office on their defensive half. This will be the first time they go to the site. Let's see Fish, who is currently 13-5, beating out the rest of his team by a wide margin. See him bring that same energy to the remaining 3 rounds, if they want to go to overtime.
I think he's also either 4-0 or 4-1 on entry, so whenever he's in the right spot to work a pick, it's been going quite well for him. Wish I could say the same for a majority of Ex-Elyssar, but so far they haven't been in the best of positions as a whole. Once again, Arial Arise with good info and incredible tempo off each other too. Have been able to really manipulate a lot of these rounds to go in their favor, hence the 6-3 scoreline. But finally, some bite back here for Ex-Elyssar. Though it seems that Arial Rise are not going to make the same mistake twice in a row. They're buddied up once again, trying to potentially gather info on someone that could be in storage, and for the most part, try to clear over in through Cafe, as a majority of teams when attacking opposite initiation would like to deal with that small extension on the same floor, get that bunk pressure, more or less, and try to breach in through initiation to get that plant down. So everything seems pretty standard so far for Arial Rise. And once again, gathering information, they spot out a guy top arcade stairs. And if no one's really actively playing against this Cafe clear, they could try to walk in and maybe deal some damage early on.
David and Wimpy both looking towards that window and looking over towards that hallway leading out from Cafe. Freak will move on in. Tone's the first to fall, but Freak, second time this game, the moment one of his teammates dies as they're flooding into Arcade, he gets the refrag fairly soon after. And now he's pushing for 2. Doesn't have active intel, it seems, and they might not even have intel on Fish. Might be the difference maker in keeping Ex-Elyssar in the game. One about to walk in front of yellow stairs. Jay holding back for the time being. Freak, the X factor for Arial goes down. There we go. Fish finally strikes. Makes it a 2v4. Favoring Ex-Elyssar. Now backs down the stairs. CZ falls soon after. Not able to have the same success as the Alibi. John Quartz is just in the sight right now. He's made his way in. Might catch the Alibi moving up Dragon. Oh, I thought he got the kill, but no. He just pushes Fish low. Ex-Elyssar now stringing together 2 rounds in a row.
Really well done forcing that funnel as well. It did seem a bit off at first for Ex-Elyssar to not want to immediately confront anyone inside a cafe, but the fact they had someone playing, arcade stairs, someone all the way in the back of that balcony as well, and having your Aruni of CZ also watching in for that single wall from cafe leading into top yellow, they did have everything accounted for, so no matter what, it was still going to be a funnel for Arial Rise if they didn't take a couple of extra seconds to maybe try to clear in through that first floor. And if they did, they would still need to deal with Fish. The only reason why he was up yellow is because he needed to fill in a position that one of his teammates died in, and eventually they realized Arial Rise is only pushing in through Cafe. Timeout, though, now being called by the side of Arial Rise, as they do not want to flounder any more rounds and potentially have overtime forced on them like we saw in Clubhouse.
Also just don't want to pad Fish's stats any further. They're running into him. More
That's
so
going
in
crazy.
More so in that first defensive win as opposed to the second. But yeah, Fish is just going crazy right now. Arial Rise giving him LeBron numbers on Ex-Elyssar's defensive half. See what the defense decides to do now is they had some time to talk things out as well. They will move to bunk daycare after taking the win on initiation. Again, Arial Rise have been able to attack this site, and it looks like unless they substantially change things in the repick phase, they'll be doing the same strategy that got them that success, John. Bringing that Flores and destroying a lot of this utility, and there's no mute for Ex-Elyssar. So if they want to stop and put a solid brick wall in front of that strategy, they'll have to shoot those Rotero drones before they detonate.
Yeah, I am a little concerned that with an operator that did so much to set up Freak to do his job on that entry, that they are just going to potentially allow that to happen once again. Now even less utility as well to deny anything else besides those Rotero drones. At least you had an Aruni last round, which does still force a little bit of burn to happen by the offense, but they didn't even have that this round either. Hopefully Ex-Elyssar can win a couple of crucial gunfights in the early round to maybe weaken Arial Rise's prowess as a whole, but so far it just seems like for them that it's not going to happen. Tone's expecting some sort of early aggression will immediately get rid of Wimpy from the equation, and now it seems like they'll try to do the exact same cafe over clear question mark. Still seems like Arial Rise have a couple of players stacked up over near the maintenance side of the map, but I think that's just to try to work another kill perhaps.
I saw Fish shooting that window open earlier, so they'll just be careful for the time being. They also have that annoying indicator on the screen because Fish threw an alibi clone outside, and there it will remain until it is shot, which I just believe it was by Quartz. So don't want to deal with the enemy detected outside beacon anymore, radiating on their screen. That means they still need to deal with the actual alibi herself, being Fish, just sitting over towards Dragon. They're focused on Arcade and Cafe for the time being, but we saw Fish go huge these past couple rounds, John. They need to track him down or at least keep an eye on him.
Once again, now with the shield gone, Enrio is going to have a lot of pressure put towards him and not too much slack to really fall back on. Still one Magnet and ADS does, so he can still prolong here for just a little while longer, even some util put towards that yellow hatch as well. But again, for Ex-Elyssar, they are still pretty low on utility as a whole, and still trying to work off of having this man disadvantage definitely seems challenging.
It's now down below inside of Drug Lab as the util clear above is underway. Tones lost a lot of X-Kairos to opening up that wall in Break Room once again. Claymore goes off, Ish hops out, but the kill evades him, eludes him for the time being. Reed only suffering a minuscule amount of damage. Won't even really feel dissuaded from taking any engagements. That's how small it was. Freak suffering a little bit more, might need to be a little bit more careful. He's just tried to sprint into Cafe every time they clear from this position, and now feel a little bit more reticent to take that same path. Fish now creeping over towards the yellow stairs, looking to support the player playing on top of that very position. A huge crossfire for Ex-Elyssar focused on that spot. The only player from Arial not about to walk into it is Tones, just sitting in radar right now. Not much work he can do, just hoping that maybe he catches somebody on a rotation, but beyond that, it's going to be win or lost in Arcade and top yellow. First 2 kills go out. Arial Arise have the man advantage that they gained earlier on. It's equalized. Made null and void by Vivid. Still on the stairs, still getting the kills. Cuts down Reed, but Jay's there to bring it back. Loses some HP. Here's Fish. He doesn't go huge. He'll be stuck at 15 as we're on match point. CZ on 1 HP as well. Needs to kill Quartz. The only player covering. He can't land the shots. Arial Arise take a timeout. They cool things down. They finally finish off their now 7-4 victory.
And overall, the snowball to turn that into an avalanche of a round really had to be that yellow hatch drop. Finding the kill on Enrio in particular, and also forcing Fish to rotate with such little time left. It essentially granted Arial Arise that one player advantage, which allowed them to trade so much easier in those dying moments of the round. Fish finally was able to get back up above, but it was through Arcade Stairs, and his teammate had just died there. So still, everyone in Arial Arise had all of their attention put onto that one portion of the map. Fish just not long for this world too much after getting back up of Arcade Stairs. It turned into yet again another very challenging 1vx that Ex-Elyssar just were not in the position to win. Arial Arise, although it took them a while to set up, again, just their fluidity of pushing in all at the same time and knowing what everyone has to do in their role, it allowed everything to work out perfectly for them.
Well, reality TV yesterday, they play Border. They play Border again and win it. Arial Arise yesterday, they play Theme Park and win it. They play Theme Park and win it. Let's see what the next matchup has in store, but before then, we'll throw it back to the analyst desk to break down again another Theme Park victory for Arial Arise.
Connor, I'm looking at my notes, and the one thing that stands out to me the most when I look at it are all of these entries by Ex-Elyssar. And when I think back on it, what I realize is kind of a criticism of Ex-Elyssar and a compliment to Arial Arise is Arial Arise was managing to trade out those entries every time. They were taking away that advantage from Ex-Elyssar.
Yeah, overall, with how Arial Arise was just playing, they were playing tighter. They were playing closer to home. They were playing the trade game phenomenally. When you're having a very team-oriented game plan like how Arial Arise always has, you can mitigate a lot of the individual performances of players like Fish, especially in that early round. See, you see Fish, he's just jumping out of windows and flying around. He was a flying fish. He was going upstream like a salmon, but ultimately he got caught by the bears that were Arial Arise.
Now, Arial Arise Cookies seems to have started to clean up a lot of the little errors we would see them accrue along the way.
Yeah, at least from the old team, I would say like this stage's team definitely. To go back to my critical point, okay, I said Arial Arise can easily set the tempo, and I think that they did today. I really saw, especially on their attacking entries. I mean, Elyssar brought out some pretty creative little roams. They had bulletproof matrices, set up, and little roam set up and whatnot. And it's just Arial. I just kind of walked in and cleaned up just like that, like first minute. It's just they really set the tone on their tactics, and that wasn't a fun like at all. Okay, but, they really did, and it really goes to say, like Connor said, they took what was probably Fish's best game that I've seen out of him, honestly, in CL, period. Even going back to last time he was on IF, that was
He was on
his
late
better
registration, not IF.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't confuse the viewer, okay? Those are the same teams. They just have different names. But yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty solid game from Arial.
It was honestly very impressive, and I hate to say this, I did vote for Ex-Elyssar.
I did.
I think 7-4 might have given them a bit more credit than I think the scoreline. This was a very heavily dominated Arial Arise matchup, but we do have Dauntless now. We're going to talk to him, the coach of Arial Arise. We'll ask him a few questions. Daunt, congratulations on a big win for you guys. It seems like your players are finding they're a bit more sound in their individual roles as this stage moves on.
Yeah, that was something we worked on before the stage started. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it too soon. Mo obviously going to Mirage kind of set us back a little bit. But we kind of messed around with roles. We found where everybody was kind of comfortable, and we're still kind of getting into the groove of everything. Quartz has come in. He's been a lot of help. He's really just come in and been happy to kind of fill whatever role we need. And from there, we still got a lot to work on, but they've been having a lot of fun here lately.
Do you feel like you've been correcting past mistakes while still trying to work on some others?
It's what most T2 teams struggle with. It's just fundamental stuff. We come in, we're just practicing fundamentals, practicing trade games. Some of the stuff is still a little sloppy. Like I said, we're still working, still a lot to improve, but we're making huge steps each week. So definitely big progress.
Now, with the points you've earned so far this stage, you guys are sitting in a playoff position. Do you guys actively look at those season totals, or are you taking it on a game-by-game basis?
We're just game by game right now. We're just happy to be here playing our game, just having a lot of fun. We're just happy to be playing some Siege.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, Don, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Well, Arial Arise, I think, Cookies, out of the two teams, I guess the one kind of making a name for themselves, saying not to write them off just yet. LSR, I feel like they're making improvements, but they're just not there yet, Cookies.
I think today was a good step in the right direction for them, too. I hope we see more fish flying out of windows like a carp out the water. Like, I hope we see more of that, because even though they lost, I wouldn't say they got blown out of the water. Like, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like there was stuff they can work on in this. We could maybe see off-stream CZ as well. We didn't even talk about CZ was like 4-8.
Yeah.
It's easy. Can do a lot better. We know this. So, there's you get 2 and 2 together, the team can definitely be something. They're still sitting pretty in terms of overall point standing too. So the story is yet to be fully told for Elyssar.
Well, the moral of the story at this point, at least, is don't write anyone off, because anything can happen. Now, 2 matches down, 2 more to go. When we come back, it's going to be Favelas taking on One Shot. We get to see One Shot again this stage.